Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of my list. My ideas for tweaks, improvements, and whatnot in the game of Minecraft. And this episode is all focused on the pillagers. Now, this is a pretty simple idea, but villagers have their own workstations, right? Well, I think the pillagers should also have their own workstations, and so I've come up with 4 and functions for them. And these would be functions the player could use in the game as well, that I think fit fairly nicely into vanilla Minecraft. And it makes finding woodland mansions and outposts a little bit more intriguing, or interesting anyway. But first things first, I'm over here at a pillager outpost, and it's just kind of blank. However, on the second floor, occasionally you would find this, and what this is a captain's table. Hang on, let me go explain. Let me go over here where I have. This is where I was supposed to start my video. So, a lot of the workstations in Minecraft are based on previously existing wood types. The crafting table is oak. The fletching table, birch. Barrel is spruce. Cartography table, dark oak. Smithing table, mangrove. That's the one. My brain tooted out for a bit there. And while we still have 3 undone, with the introduction of the pale oak, I figure we could use that, since pale oak is like a warped variant of the dark oak. That could be something the pillagers would use. And so that's why the captain's table is made out of dark oak. On top here is just a woodland explorer map with the mansion on it, as I think the captain would want to know where his closest mansion is. And then I've just got totems and ominous banners on here. And why totems? Well, what this would do, if you right-clicked it, I'm going to use crafters in all my examples, just so you know. But that would open up a crafting recipe. But the idea is, by giving a bell, that signifies to the pillagers or whatnot, this is how they craft totems. By using this, you're basically telling the table or the captain that you have left a village unsafe or raided one yourself. But this wouldn't craft a totem of undying. What it would be is this new recipe, a bell and gold on the sides. Or maybe it'd just surround the whole thing in gold. I'm not sure. Maybe it'd be like this, but what that would give you is a unenchanted or just regular totem. So if we look at the totem, you see how its eyes are emeralds? Imagine those were just blank, like empty, kind of like the dark gold color, maybe even just a gray. So a totem or an unenchanted totem would do absolutely nothing. However, this plays in to more mechanics further down the road. This is just a way to build them. But that's kind of the idea here. The captain, by taking bells from ransacked villages, makes totems of undying, or blank totems for his troops. So that's the idea for that. A way to get blank totems. But what to do with them, you may wonder. Well, we will answer that in just a bit. However, first we're going to look at some other ideas. And so, along with the pillager outpost, now we have a way to get blank totems that do nothing. But that's where the woodland mansion comes into play. But first, let's work our way up. Basically, there's 3 floors of this, and each floor has a chance of spawning one of the following pillager workstations. And the first one is right here. This is the basic pillager table, much like the player's crafting table. You know, it's got the tools on the sides. It looks like a shears, a hammer or axe, and a saw. Well, this has crossbow, axe, and a goat horn on top, and the bell is just for decoration. However, what this would do, if you were to right click on it, you wouldn't move that. But this is a way to tune your goat horn. There's 8 different goat horns with different sounds. Ponder, feel, seek, all that. And basically what you would do is you'd go in here, there'd be a goat horn, and then you'd put in one of these items to get this tune. This way you can get the goat horns you want in another way if you're having trouble getting them from goats or finding them in pillager outposts. This is a way that you can take any goat horn and retune it. And basically what I'm thinking here is any colored glass for ponder, flint for feel, flint and steel for feel, spyglass for seek, any record for sing, any candle for admire, any banner for call, any bundle for yearn, and any bed for dream. Just a nice in-game way of being able to do, or another way to do, there's nothing, what am I trying to say here? There's nothing new here. It is simply another way to acquire some of the collectible stuff in the game. That's the idea behind this station. And so, on to the second story and the next station. Now this is playing, the next two are playing into the types of illagers that exist in the game. So we have the captain's table so far, the standard illager station. Next, where did I put it? Aha, here we are. We have the evoker's table, and here we have that dark oak texture, or not dark oak, creaking heart texture. With the evoker kind of robe on the side, obviously you could do this much better, maybe have this as like a top carpet texture. But what this would do, there are 2 things the evoker does to attack, right? It summons these fangs when you're close, and it summons vexes. Well, what if the player could do that? If only there was 2 things in the game that are going unused that we could make work. Well, what you would have to do is, if you find this table, what you can do, I should say, you put in a stick, a thick potion, and pointed dripstone, and you would get a fang summoning rod. And then, conversely, if you put in a stick, a mundane potion, and amethyst, you would get a vex summoning rod. Now, why these things? Mainly the pointed dripstone kind of looks like a tooth. Thick, I'm thinking because they just come up, I'm not sure. And with the mundane potion, the vex, mundane means kind of boring or ordinary. And since the vex can kind of go through walls and stuff, it almost is like they are not there, so I don't know. But then the amethyst, that's how you clone or duplicate allies, so I thought it should be included in the making of a vex. What these rods would allow you to do is, if you were to right click with the vex, you would essentially summon a vex that would fight for you. But yeah, this is just a new way to have a new style of combat. The vex would be, rather than attacking you, it would attack other mobs that are hostile towards you. Kind of a neat way to bring this in. However, none of these tables would be guaranteed to spawn at any of these. These are just possibilities. But yeah, so that would summon a vex, and the fang rod would summon fangs. I'm having a hard time actually showing this off right now, though. I think, perhaps if I am smart. And so the fang would summon fangs. I have a villager here. I'm hoping this can be a good demonstration, as I haven't gotten it to work yet. Well, patootsies. But the idea is you could use an evoker's powers for yourself. You know, the fang would shoot out how it does from an evoker within a certain distance. And this could actually, attack let's say there's a zombie like right there, right click on it, you'd summon a thing of fangs at it. And conversely, you could also right click or even regular click with the rod and summon a Vex after it. Just a cool way to include that as a new combat mechanic. But that's the idea behind the Evokers tables. So now we are on to the final Illager workstation. And this is where those empty totems come into play. Right here, imagine this like a full-size block, but this would be the Illusioners table. And this is where you could actually create totems and new totems. I have some ideas right here, but essentially you would go into it, and what you would be doing is placing the totem that you made from the captain's table and then 2 items into the eye slots basically on the totem, and that would create a new totem. And what would these new totems be? Well, these are my ideas. I don't want to have too many, but we would have... Basically, what I want to be able to do is create totems that allow you to do things you can't normally do in the game. Much like the Totem of Undying allows you to die, but, come back right where you are. All of these are that same idea. So, first up is the Totem of Caving. You put a totem in with 2 amethyst shards that have purple eyes. And what this would do is when, let's say you're down in the mines caving, this would act as a light source. Like you're holding a torch, but it would actually give off light while you're caving. And so while you're digging around, you see those troublesome dark areas, you could actually run in there and still see what you're doing while clearing them out. It's not too overpowered, but that's the idea there. So the next one, the Totem of Creaking. By adding resin bricks, the totem would have orange eyes, and what this would do, if you were holding this item in your offhand, even if you looked away, the creaking will not come after you and attack. It'll simply act as it normally does. The Totem of Creaking essentially makes you invisible to creaking, which is nice because then you get to enjoy its movement, kind of, and see how it does and where it wanders and why. He apparently really wants to go outside. But that's the idea behind that. On to the next totem, Totem of Youth. I really like this one, but this one's kind of out there. What this would do, this one would be expendable. So, let's say you had a chicken, you right click on it with the Totem of Youth. After you click on the chicken with the Totem of Youth, you would have a permanently young chicken. He would never age. However, in the process of that, you lose the totem. That's kind of the trade-off. And it costs 2 diamonds, so it'd be expensive. But I've always kind of wanted a way to keep the baby versions of animals and mobs in the game. And so this is one way to do it. So on to the next one. Totem of Ravaging. This one you would put 2 saddles. I don't know what the eyes would do. Maybe they turn leather looking or something. But this is pretty straightforward. If you are holding this totem, not during a raid, you'd have to complete the raid or sneak the Ravager off. But this would allow you to right click and ride the Ravager. And if you ever dropped or didn't have it in one of your hands while riding the Ravager, he'd buck you off and go right back to attacking you. But the Totem of Ravaging basically allows the Ravager to be tame around you and allows you to ride it. Now, I think with riding it, to make it not so... hang on, let me get this guy out of the way. To avoid having it being too overpowered, the Ravager will still get distracted by villagers if you're riding near a village, and the Ravager won't be able to jump. This is yet another method of transportation and combat. Mainly, I'm thinking for PvP, this could be fun. That's the idea. The Totem of Ravaging. How to tame your Ravager. Then we have the Totem of Undying. This would be simply just putting in 2 emerald blocks to create the green eyes. Nothing about this would change. And raids, if you killed evokers, stuff like that, they would still drop Totems of Undying, as that's what the captains, you would think, and evokers would make for their troops. So, nothing about this changes besides as far as it being a drop and whatever, but it would also be craftable if, let's say, you didn't have any and you didn't want to make a raid farm or something. 2 emerald blocks, and that would be that. Next, we have the Totem of Creeping. And what that would be, you put in 2 music discs, specifically the cat one. And what this would do, if you are holding the Totem of Creeping in your hand, the creeper will basically see you as a cat. It sees this totem as a cat, basically, and so it will run away from you. Now, obviously, zombies and skeletons, they won't care at all, but this is just one way to avoid creepers. Now, I'm just using this cat as an example of what it would do. But yeah, this is one way that you'd be able to avoid creepers. That's kind of the idea behind all of these totems. Being able to do things you can't normally do. And so that is the Totem of Creeping. And the final totem, the Totem of Pollination. And this would be made by adding honeycombs. The bees, or the totem's eyes would turn to honeycombs, or maybe give it bee eyes. Maybe the totem shape could actually change based on these two. You know, the Totem of Creeping could turn into a cat. Totem of Ravaging could turn into a Ravager head. Creaking could turn into a Creaker head. I don't know. That is some for developers who are smarter than me. However, what this would do, the Totem of Pollination, when held in your hand, would allow you to do a couple of things. One thing it would do is it would pollinate crops as if you were a bee, thus speeding up growth and whatnot. And in addition to that, let's see if these bees can... I might have to wait here a bit, actually. Well, I'm not going to wait, I guess. But the other thing it would allow you to do, rather than needing a campfire, as the totem kind of gets you to act like a bee, you would be able to get bottles of honey and sheer honeycomb from bee nests without the need of a campfire. This could allow for more organic style, natural builds, you know, more out in the open type builds involving bee nests and bee hives. So that's the idea there. And so, that was my set of ideas for a little bit of a tweak to Illagers, giving them their own workstations, their own functions, their own unique purpose in the game. It just makes sense that the Illagers would have workstations to me, if the villagers do, and all that. So, anyways, I've been Evernoob. Let me know in the comments below if you like any of the ideas or have ways to improve upon them. I'm trying to keep it, you know, very close to vanilla as much as possible. I think all these things can work in vanilla. I especially like just the ability to change your goat horn. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. This is the continuation of my list, inspired by Mr. Cubfan135, his list. Go check out his, as he is much more technical and much more, what's the word? Comprehensive. He thinks through what he's going through. These are kind of more like my off ideas that I would like to see in the game. However, I'm not sure how to incorporate them, nor the technical side of things. So I'm putting ideas out there for discussion purposes, essentially. But all that being said, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next episode of The List. Bum, bum, bum. All right. Bye-bye.